Alright, we've moved on to the next step. We've got our gear assembly together. Now what we need to do is we need to take and we need to lube this internal gear here. Now I'm using marine grease versus the Tamiya ceramic glue, only because I like the way that marine grease, even though it's in the transmission, it's still transmission sits very high on these things. I still like to have good marine grease in there. So what we're going to do is I'm going to stick, oops, yeah, I forgot, you also have to put a bearing on the back side of this. We're going to shove this assembly into there, rotate it around, get that grease circulated, get it on all the teeth. Nice free rotation, they've all got a good coating of grease on them. Now this is different with the CR01, this has a planetary gear in it. Good free rotation. And while we're at it, we're going to take our pin here. We go in the second hole, because there's 3 holes to it, and they're both your drive shaft holes. But what we do is we take our second one here, line it up, and it'll meet with the locker for the planetary. Now what we're going to do to hold that in place is they tell you to take one of your drive shaft ends, take your locking pin, which goes all the way through, which is awesome. I can't overstress how great it is to have a locker like that. And we're going to take one of our Allen wrenches here and secure our drive shaft in. Now with these pins going all the way through, there's no need for Loctite, although for some extreme situations I still would put Loctite on it, because as you can see right now it's still loose as an assembly. But right now we're good. So there's our front shaft. The next step is to take the back housing, find your holes where they line up right. There we go. All my holes have lined up. My gear case is in there, rotating very smoothly. You notice now there's no noise in there. It's completely quiet. Beautiful sound to have. And according to this, we're going to take our BA5 screw, which is right here. That BA5 runs through this end, and there is a locker nut inside of here, so that's a good thing. What we're going to do is we're going to take one of these little drop-in lock nuts, get it down in the hole. If you can't get it lined up right away, just use an Allen head. It will guide you in to get it set straight, which it sometimes takes a little bit of maneuvering, but perseverance pays off. Okay, I'm relatively satisfied with that. It's not completely sitting in there flush, but yeah, now it is. Honestly, I don't see why. Well, I guess you gotta have an eye locker in there, but the next one will be a BA3, which is this big boy here. Oh, get our assembly back together again. Ah, now I see why. BA3 is gonna run through there. Back it out. Get another one of our little lockers here. Shove that down in there. Get our BA3 started there. And mine decides it wants to come out. Okay, there's our BA3 tightened down. We still have our BA5 on the other side. Alright, that part's done. Now on the bottom edge of this, we've got, going through the bottom holes here, we've got a BA2 and a BD2, which are huge bolts. These ones have your bracket that's going to mount to your cross member. Slide them into place. They're going to take these little nylockers too, which this is a little bit trickier to get a nut down into, but yeah, I'm pretty sure I've got that one set, so we're going to tighten that one up. Okay, last but not least, we've got one more that has to go in right there. Which is just spinning right now. If I can get it to stop spinning and go in its hole. Okay, the BA3, when it wants to agree, which it's still not. Back this up a little. Okay, there we go. There's our outer rotating assembly. And then next we'll move on to the inner assembly. This next step here is going to be very short because I've already gone ahead and greased this. We're going to take a BD9 washer, or not washer, but a bearing. I'm going to shove the BD9 down in there. I've pre-greased this. And what we're going to do is we're going to take one of these huge BD7 washers. We're going to insert it down into here. I always take and seat it with a flathead screwdriver to make sure it's down all the way. As you can see, there's the big bearing in there and our main shaft. Now, in between those goes this very thin washer. That goes down in there too. Then on the other side, we put another one of these BD bearings, BD9 bearings, down on its seat right here. So we've got our bearing on this end. With that done, we go ahead and we flip this back up so we can get our washer straight. We don't want that getting all crooked when we're putting our gear in. Slide our gear down the assembly. Make sure that washer doesn't bind up anywhere. Right there, we're having a little issue with it. There we go. Now that's turning our propeller shaft, so we know that assembly is correct. Now what we do is we take a BA18, another one of these small ones, just to keep the shaft lined up, and we're going to stick that BA18 down in there. That's down in there and it's in. And now you take A1, which is just a plastic piece, and that plastic piece will sit right inside of there too. That's it for that step. Now the next step we're going to move on to is going to be mounting the motor plate and everything up to that. Of course, I'm gonna put the motor and the pinion together. The motor, which we're going to be using, is going to be an axial 55 turn. We set our pinion gear. Set our pinion gear, and we use Tamiya's little cardboard washer. So next step, we'll have the motor, the spur, the pinion, that all ready to go. We'll get the motor plate on, so I'm going to get those ready, and then we'll shoot the next shot.